Hi Dixons, I'm Adam Clough, Trust Leader for Instruction. In my previous video, I spoke about ratio and how we want to maximise the extent to which our students are thinking, participating and accountable. In that video, I briefly touched upon how some common classroom routines and strategies might be used in order to maximise ratio in your classroom. I will be talking about this in much more depth in an upcoming video, but before we get there, I do think it's important to consider what it means to use classroom routines and strategies effectively. As we know, core routines and strategies for teaching play essential roles in the classroom. Grounded in principles of cognitive science or evidence from research, they enable key functions of teaching. To exemplify my point in this video, I'm going to talk primarily about the do now and cold call. The purpose of a well-designed do now primarily is to support retrieval practice by creating the conditions to gradually move knowledge into the long-term memory. Cold call exists mainly, though not exclusively, to build higher ratio into questioning so that checks for understanding are robust. These routines and strategies have underlying principles or processes which are consistent regardless of subject discipline. We know that to support retrieval, the do now should be interleaved, rapid, consistent and independent. To build ratio, cold call should always follow the process of pose the question, give some wait time and state the student's name. The task of embedding these principles and processes into the very fabric of a classroom can be exceptionally hard work, and we can spend hours, days, weeks, months, even years sweating the small stuff, striving every day to establish that culture of consistency. And it takes a huge amount of effort. So when students finally do enter the classroom quietly and complete their do now independently, there's a real sense of achievement. But we just need to be aware of potential false summits here. Just because this has happened does not mean that we can assume the routine is yet effective. There's obviously more at play. It's here where the phrase necessary but not sufficient seems really relevant. So let's stick with the example of the do now a little bit longer. As I mentioned, the primary purpose of a do now is to support retrieval practice. To do this effectively, we know that it's necessary for it to be interleaved, presented consistently, and for the culture to be such that students complete it independently and rapidly. However, if the knowledge being quizzed is interleaved in a way that does not support meaningful interrupting of the forgetting process, then it cannot possibly support retrieval. It's not sufficient. This is how effective teachers use these routines and strategies really well. Let's now use cold call as an example. Effective teachers understand that the process of cold call is to build ratio. They know that if they pose the name of the student first instead of last, the ratio is not maximised. They know that to do this would implicitly give the message to the rest of the class that they can stop listening if they so wish. However, they know that following the right process is not sufficient. In order to do this, the question design and delivery must be such that it meets the demands of their subject and the needs of their student, both academic and pastoral. This can really manifest in countless ways, be it the extent to which the knowledge being quizzed is chunked, or the amount of wait time you give to a student. I think it would be good to bring this together into one key idea. Effective teachers ensure that they align the principles and processes of a routine or strategy to the context and demands of their subject and the students in front of them. In the next video, I will be talking about how some common routines and strategies for instruction can be used in this way to maximise thinking, participation and accountability ratio. As ever, thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to Open Source and be sure to watch the coming episodes in this series.